Okay, if you're one of the many people looking to buy a vacation rental here in Orlando, you are not alone. Airbnb can be a great way to not only give you a cash flowing rental, but also give you a place for you and the family to come and visit Orlando. Or maybe you're a business person and you come to Orlando all the time for events, just like me and my company was many times in the past. I get it. Obviously on this channel, I help a lot of people make their personal move to Orlando, but I also have a great experience in the past of short-term rentals. Actually, the first rental I ever purchased was a short-term rental, and it was even before I bought my own house, believe it or not. Now, obviously, story for a different time. Buying a vacation rental can be a great way to kind of offset a lot of costs in your life, but there's a lot of downsides and a lot of changed things over the last couple of years that can make it really hard to do here in Orlando. Obviously, there's a lot of short-term rentals here in Orlando, and over the years has caused a lot of regulations to be put in place. And the first thing I tell a lot of people is, look, it's not just your budget, it's not just what you're trying to do, it's can it be done in the city you're looking to do it in. That's the biggest issue here in Orlando. And if you haven't seen recently all over the news, obviously people are calling it the Airbnb Armageddon or whatever the heck they want to, what the news wants to label things. You know, it's always clickbait stuff. But the reality is that because competition for cities and stuff like that has become so high in Airbnb, a lot of landlords and owners of these properties are seeing their rental rates and income drop significantly. And is Orlando part of that list of cities that are getting hit by this? The answer is yes. From what I have seen, there are a lot of people who are getting hit when it comes to their income on the rental properties here in Orlando. Does that mean you shouldn't do it? Not necessarily. Now, I do think it's hard to find a cash flowing property to do that here in Orlando, especially if you're looking at rates, stuff like that. Now, if you're a professional and you're just looking for someone to get into it, reach out to me. I'm happy to just go straight off of what your buy box is and go straight into it. But I'm going to assume moving forward that you're probably someone who maybe has a couple rentals under the belt, or you're looking to maybe maximize that family trip coming to Orlando. And look, the reality is you have to work through a couple different frameworks when it comes to getting a short-term rental here in Orlando. The first thing is, what can you afford? Now, in the past, you have been able to purchase a home as a second home. The problem is that the amount you have to put down kind of used to be like 10%. In a lot of ways, it's substantially higher. Now, you're kind of having to do your rental property at 20%, things like that. Maybe a little bit less. It depends on the bank and the lender and your financial situation. I mean, we're running into a situation even with my mother-in-law right now because her income just isn't high enough for where the rates are to where they need to be. Now, I am not like most agents. I don't just sit here and tell you that there is no way you could do this, but I'm not going to get too deep down the road when it comes to creative ways to get these rental properties to get into a vacation rental space, because you necessarily don't have to own it to get into it. But again, different story, different time. So if you're looking to do that, you can go straight out and reach out to me. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. I just want to take a quick second to let you know that we love dropping videos for you every single week, just like this, to help people like yourself make the move to Orlando, just like I did years ago. Also, while you're watching this video, we drop information from you. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. But more importantly, if you're looking to make a move out here, obviously, my name is Cameron Hodge with eXp Realty, and what I specialize with me and my team is helping people like yourself make that move to Orlando. Not just move here, actually move here and help you with the decisions that you need to make sure that you have a good life guaranteed when you get here, because no one wants you to get here to like just make a bad decision and live in the wrong area and not make those right choices. So if that's you and you need help making that plan when making a move out here, this number popping up below is how you can get a hold of me and the team. Or if that's not fast enough, down in the description there is a Zoom link where you can schedule a one-on-one Zoom call with me. We can sit down and create that perfect plan for you. And again, thank you so much for watching the video, and let's get back to it. Once you kind of figure out what you can afford and what you need to do and things like that, the biggest thing with Orlando when it comes to short-term rentals is what city you're looking to, well, really what city you can afford in this world. I mean, I wish I didn't have to keep pushing that up so much, but with rates being so high and things like that, that's unfortunately a big topic and the biggest point of the conversation. Now, cities like Davenport, Kissimmee, God, I have a list here of ones I've written down: Four Corners, Reunion, Windermere, Lake Buena Vista, Celebration. Not so much Celebration. I don't know why I brought up Celebration. Whoops. Team making this list for me. In Claremont. Whoops. I don't know why Celebration was on that list. Ignore that. But some of those cities I just listed are cities that do allow Airbnb rentals. Now, in Florida, you do have to get permits in order to do that. So be aware, there's a lot of things you got to work through. First, does your zoning allow you to even have a short-term rental? A lot of cities have minimum lease requirements, meaning you have to do at least 1 month, and most of them are 4, 6, 12-month leases. And that way it just keeps out those short-term rentals. Now, as someone who personally lives here, I like not living in a community that has a churn of short-term tenants. I just do. But the investor in me does understand how that can be frustrating. Now, so you have to make sure where you can afford and are the areas that allow you to do that makes sense, because you also need to make sure they're near things. Are they near amenities and stuff like that? Because look, if in a lot of these cities are just, it's always changing. The problem is you might have an Airbnb and the city could change their lease laws. You could be screwed unless there's like a grandfather clause, meaning that, hey, because you already had one, you're good to go. Next topic, which is permits. Not only does your city have to allow zoning where that is, you have to be able to get a permit to do the short-term rental, because sometimes they might have limits on how much short-term rental percentage there can be per home. So there's a lot of things that get into it here around Orlando. It's not as simple as just getting into a property. So having someone who knows how to work through that process and knows where they're looking can help immensely, especially if you can find one who's because a lot of times, but there again, on the flip side, there are Airbnb owners here in Orlando who just kind of are tired of it, right? Especially with everything going on, they just want to cash out. And a lot of times you are able to get a home that is already allowed. All you have to do is get the permit for your new company and you're good to go. And then you can just slide in and you already have a property that's furnished and everything like that. The next issue I'm seeing a lot of people run into when it comes to short-term rentals here in Orlando is the competition, right? That's why I said the Airbnb Armageddon. The issue with short-term rentals in this country is so many people hopped on that bandwagon that if you get a rental, what makes you different? It's like anything. People, like a good thing happens and then the market floods with people all doing that one thing. How do you stand out? How is your property different? Like, you know, some of the top properties are like those themed properties. They have a theme to them, especially Disney or Universal. And the thing is like, how do you stand out? How is your rental going to stand out? Because it's not just as simple as like everything I just talked about to have a property that's not special and it doesn't do anything, right? Sometimes you might do better in doing midterm rentals. Orlando is a huge city with business professionals coming, rotating through their jobs, travel nurses. That potentially could be a better option. And it's not a regular lease, it's like a midterm lease, which pays a lot higher than a normal lease. So there's different ways you have to kind of think through and get around this. But if you're someone who just wants to be able to turn on and off the switch of when you can and cannot be in your property here in Orlando, or maybe you are looking for that profitable vacation rental, you got to work through that, because the properties just can't be normal anymore. I'm seeing a lot of other clients and people in the community who are just struggling with that because their property is basic, there's nothing special with it, or they don't even have a pool and things like that. And people really want pools and stuff like that when they come to Florida. I mean, come on, it's hot, it's Florida, we want a pool. And you need to make sure you have those criteria, because if you don't, you're gonna be at the bottom of the total pool. Professional photos, you know, great service, like all of that applies to getting to the top of the list where people are like, I absolutely want to book this. And even while people are struggling to get money, I still know people that are just booking out like crazy with their rentals because they know what they're doing and they make it a amazing experience. And that's what everyone wants in Airbnb. Even though the economy is tight and it's going to get tighter, how does your property stand out? So make sure you're making the right decisions so your property stands out and you're getting to the top of the list when people are searching where to live in Orlando. And look, once you get all that figured out, you kind of have your game plan. If you don't already have one, maybe you're already experienced and you're good to go. But all this still applies. The next thing is like, you know, what's your overall long-term plan? Because I'll tell you, you know, managing an Airbnb out of state, I've done it. My wife did it because she is way better at that paperwork and managerial aspect. I'm definitely the dreamer. I love to say visionary, but I know the direction I need to go. But sometimes the details can get a little fuddled in the middle. That's why I bring in and hire help to help me with all my businesses. Like in this instance, you know, do you need to have a manager in place? A lot of management companies will charge you a large percentage of that monthly rent, and you need to make sure that that's budgeted in. Now, I'll tell you that there are ways to get around it, but unfortunately, it is hard to manage a Airbnb rental out of state. Like I said, we've done it, and some cleaning companies will actually help you stock basic materials and things like that. But the reality is having a manager on the ground is something very important. Now, I am very big on creating like virtual systems and things like that, and you can manage most things by yourself. But the reality is you're still going to need someone physically on the ground who can go in and check the property and do things like that, restock items, make sure damages weren't happening, things like that. Like I said, some cleaning companies might rope that into it, but most of them, you're going to need a manager who's on the ground, look at your property, check it out, make sure everything is good to go and moving forward. It's really hard to avoid that. Look, with normal rentals, you can kind of get away with it, right? Because people like real estate agents like myself can kind of get a piece of the pie, especially if we're helping you put tenants in place, to where like we'll go above and beyond to check out the property when a tenant is leaving for you. So you can kind of do, it's really a lot easier to set up those virtual systems in place. But when it comes to short-term rentals, it's a lot harder because, you know, as agents, you're not having agent turnover. So that piece of the pie that's checking the property on for you is kind of gone. So you really need to make sure you have that manager in place. And the issue is like finding a good manager in Orlando is hard. It can take time. So you really have to make sure that you've done your research beforehand. And sometimes, let's say you're lucky enough to buy a short-term rental that's for sale as someone's selling off. Hey, maybe they already have a manager and that manager is just going to let you seamlessly work into their plan because they already have the property. The issue is when you're buying someone else's Airbnb listing, you have to make sure that you take over ownership of their listing on their app. And if that's not their only property, then hey, guess what? You're going to start from scratch with that property. So you really have to be careful when it comes to all these things. And all these things really add up when it comes to buying a short-term rental in Orlando. Is it impossible? Absolutely not. I will never tell anyone it's impossible. But is it a lot harder than it used to be? Heck yeah, it is. But like, I'll tell you, we rented a property in Lake Alfred, right? And when we came to visit, because we were moving here, we rented that place for a month and a half, right? So it is still advantageous to have an Airbnb, even if it's not in the city, because people like myself who are moving here, we need a place to stay that's temporary. We don't want to sign a 12-month lease, right? In the process of building the home, a lot of people who want to buy new construction here, they need a place to stay. And a lot of these cities require a 12-month lease. They don't want to sign a 12-month lease because their home's going to be done in 4, right? And they're willing to pay that premium. That's why I say, don't think about vacation rentals. It could be a lot of things. It could be vacation rentals. It also could be a mid-term rental product, meaning a lot of travel nurses, people who are moving here. I have clients all the time who maybe they're building new construction, but they want to move here sooner before it's done. Mid-term rentals are perfectly down that alley. So my biggest thing with vacation rentals is it's still possible, and I'm here to help facilitate that process. But don't get discouraged if what I've talked about might seem complicated, because there are a lot of ways. And also, almost forgot. There's a couple single family developments and condo complexes that are brand new being built right now. And they, right off the bat, in their bylaws, allow the owners to Airbnb out their properties. I have 1-bed, 1-bath condos, 2-bed, 2-bath condos, 3-bed, 2-bath homes, 2-bed, 2-bath homes, and they allow you to short-term rent your house, which is for someone who vacations here all the time. Why not get a tax benefit for owning the place that you want to vacation to anyways? Now, loophole is getting short-term rentals tax incentivized right off the bat, not like a regular rental. So that is unfortunate. Like if you have like regular leases in place, you're good, like midterm rentals, things like that. But when it comes to short-term rentals, it's really hard to get the tax benefits, at least in my experience. Now, like I said, I use good CPAs, so it might have changed. I kind of got out of the short-term rental space. It's not a thing with short-term rentals, if I'm being honest with you. But it's not my style anymore. But I prefer like midterm lease options, things that kind of have a little bit more meat, and like you can kind of get more out of them. Mainly because of this competition thing, like it's being flooded, you know, where is that next opportunity? But I'll be honest with you, for my mother-in-law right now, that's what we're doing. She wants to come during the winter, but the rest of the year, she wants it rented out. Turning it into a vacation rental and finding that property is the perfect fit for her, because she can, even if she breaks even on her mortgage, that's perfect. Because she just wants the house, she wants the tax benefits, but she doesn't want, it wants to be a second home. She wants to just have it paid off to where at least she's getting the equity, paid off over time. That's perfect. And if you're someone in that situation, I think the opportunity is still massive. Now, if you're a bigger investor, it might be a little hard because you have your buy box, you have your specific plan. But those of you who are watching this, if you stayed this long, that means, hey, you probably already are interested. This number popping up below is how you can get a hold of me to help create that plan and figure out, should you do it, should you not do it, what is that exact plan? You can call, text, email, whatever you need to do, or down in the description below, you can go straight on my calendar with a Zoom call and we can get straight to making that plan for you, because it's a complicated process, but it's not impossible. There's just a lot of things you have to do up front before you can even get to start searching for that property. So I hope this video gave you value. I hope it gave you some insight on what it's like to buy a vacation rental here in Orlando and some things you need to think about. Is it impossible? No. Should you do it? Depends. And that's why you reach out to me and my team. So I hope you got value in this video, guys, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.